Hi guys, Al DeMarco here, and this is going to be your long-delayed, long-awaited, I doubt that, video report for Wednesday, and I've got another free selection coming up in just a moment on a late-night game between BYU and Wyoming, 19-9 free pick run, basketball and football combined. Took a split with Tuesday's free picks, lost with Creighton at Bradley. Who would have thunk it? Bradley finally getting a straight-up win, right? As a home dog, no less. And then also cashed in easily last night with Colorado in a home rout of Iowa State as the Buffaloes snapped their four-game losing streak. 19-9 free pick run, that's coming up in just a moment. More importantly, last night, a third straight winning day and a fourth straight five-dime winner as Wichita State won and covered easily at Indiana State. And what a collapse for the Sycamores of Indiana State. Now, I know a lot of you guys could care less about the Missouri Valley Conference, but me personally, it has always been one of my best conferences, a true moneymaker, and this year is no different. When these two met 3 weeks ago in Wichita, Wichita State prevailed in triple overtime, but I had Indiana State that day as a road dog here on the free pick video, and I happened to cash in with it. But since then, Indiana State, including last night's game, has now lost 4 in a row to drop into the middle of the pack in the Missouri Valley Conference, and really fading fast. And remember, before that triple overtime loss, they had won 6 straight games. What else is going on here? Before I get to your free pick, I've got to tell you, today, I don't know if I happen to be channel surfing, but, over on ESPNU, 10 hours of National Signing Day coverage. And, all these damn things are exactly the same. Every 17-year-old kid, they're playing the hat game on the table. I've got Team A, Team B, Team C. I'm going to pretend it's going to be Team number A, but then at the last minute, I'm going to grab the hat of Team number C and put it on, and that's who I'm committing to. Or else, they've got the jersey underneath the table, and then they're going to lift it up. I'm going to USC. You talk about boring TV, but it has just become such a huge media circus, such a phenomenon in terms of National Signing Day. And I've got to tell you, back in the 80s, for about 6-7 years, I was a news director of a national sports wire service. And, I guess it was like around 1985 or 86 or so. One of the guys, the employees came to me and said, hey, I've got this guy, he does this big recruiting report. I like to feature the plays, or not the plays, the picks and where they're going and give coverage. And I'm thinking, I could give a damn about this stuff. I don't think anybody's going to care about this stuff, but hey, whatever floats your boat, go ahead and do all the work. I had more important things to do, like covering tennis and golf. So he starts getting this update, sending out the coverage, all the sports talk radio stations, some of this TV sports networks. They loved it. I never would have imagined this would turn out to what it has become over the last, almost 2 decades. And I really never had an appreciation. Even though I was heavily involved in doing cable TV high school football and high school basketball games for almost a decade, doing play-by-play in color for them, never really had a sense of how big this whole high school football signing thing was and the recruiting battles were until I moved to Atlanta in 1989. Well, suddenly, there were high school teams in the state of Georgia that were getting like 10,000 fans, 13,000 fans on a Friday night to watch college football, and that's all anybody talked about nonstop. And I'll never forget, I was driving one time from Atlanta down to Florida. And, South Georgia, you go through this town, Valdosta. You've all heard of Valdosta, Georgia, right? Well, they had a huge national football program at the time, high school program, and they had a stadium, I think, that sat like 10,000 people, and that's all they're talking about on the radio about, has this player committed over here? Does Georgia have a shot at this one? Do you think Auburn's going to come in and steal this guy from the Bulldogs? And I'm thinking, this is like hysteria. This is all they live for. And as you see, 10 hours of TV coverage to their national TV. This is such a big thing. And yet, at the end of the day, you can have the number 1, the number 2, number 3 recruiting class, and it doesn't matter because it's not today what you do. It's how you coach those players, how they're assimilated in your system. And so often you'll see so-and-so gets fired, even though he had a top 5 recruiting class 3 of the last 4 years, because the players you recruit, either your system sucks or the players simply aren't as good once they get into the program. Never fails. Anyway, we move on. College basketball selection tonight. I'm going to go with BYU minus the points against Wyoming. And what a tough spot for the Wyoming Cowboys, guys. You talk about being on the wrong end of the schedule for 2 consecutive games. And what I mean is this. San Diego State You recall, last week went to BYU, 20-0, undefeated, suffered its first loss. The Aztecs, who did they host on Saturday in San Diego? Wyoming. Who did they beat the hell of? Wyoming. Won 96 to 57, a 39-point blowout win, never in doubt. Well, who does Wyoming play tonight? They host BYU. What happened to BYU? Cougars followed up that win against San Diego State by getting upset by New Mexico at the Pit on Saturday. And it was a really galling loss, too, when you think about it, because BYU was up by 13 points with about 14 and a half minutes to play. And then New Mexico went on this 40-17 run that eventually iced the game for them. And that snapped BYU's 10-game winning streak, gave the Cougars only their second loss of the season. The other one was against UCLA. And now, who does Wyoming get the host? BYU, a Cougars team that has won 11 straight in the series, 16 of the last 18 meetings, including 5 in a row in Laramie. Last 7 games, BYU has won by an average of 15.7 points. Last year they won in Laramie, 85-63. Jimmer Fredette, only 22 points in that game. I mean, he struggled, right? And they still won by a 22-point margin. And Fredette comes into this one red hot, averaging 37 points his last 5 games, shooting 50% from the field, an amazing 57% from three-point range the last 5 games. And you've got such a discrepancy between these two teams offensively. BYU leads the conference, averaging 84.2 points a game. Wyoming down near the rear of the Mountain West Conference standings, averaging just 66 points a game. Wyoming has dropped 15 of its last 17 conference games, including 5 straight. And look at what Wyoming's done in its last 5 games. Yes, hammered by 39 points by San Diego State, lost by 18 at TCU, lost by 17 at home to Utah, lost by 21 at Air Force, lost by 9 at home to UNLV. I say in this one, you've got to go ahead and lay the points with BYU. Simply too much offense. There's no way that Wyoming should be able to contain them. And BYU has certainly shown it has the killer instinct. And I think it shows here after that pathetic second-half performance against New Mexico. So the Cougars of BYU, your free pick tonight. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch you again on Thursday.